Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to the live. Coach Renz. Getting started a little bit late. It's a later start today. Had some things to handle, but we're here. We are here. Got to give people a little time to get on board, get on the good foot. Hope everybody's having a great day. Tonight we are in our series, What's Wrong with the Bible, on Wednesdays. We are in Joshua 23 and 24, which is the final chapters of Joshua. We're going to get started right around the 5-minute mark. So if you're joining us for the first time on this channel, we deconstruct Christianity and reconstruct ourselves into the fullness of self. But yes, we had a little bit of a late start, but we are here now. Whole hour and some change. But that could not have been helped today. Hopefully everybody's had a great day today. Checked out the videos that I published earlier today. Hope that you enjoyed those videos, share those videos, like those videos. I want to thank all my subscribers for being here and sharing videos. All the subscription holders, all the members. I want to thank you guys as well for your support of the channel. Got a lot of big things coming up. A lot of big things coming up. Going to start doing some online seminars. And I'm going to start adding online seminars to the channels, so that we can when we can go in a lot deeper on certain information and without distractions. I look forward to it. I look forward to being able to produce some seminars. Matter of fact, we're gonna produce a seminar starting. I got to set everything up for the portal, but we'll be able to, I'm gonna start producing a seminar that's going to begin either at the end of this month or early to mid next month. I'm gonna go into a deeper seminar. We can travel this road of deconstruction a lot deeper, get a lot of more scholaristic information. Hello, Debbie. How you doing? Welcome as usual. True and faithful. Omar, welcome to the show. Don't know if it's your first time to the show. Don't know how to take your comment of teach me something. Grand evening, Q. How you doing? Welcome. Is my YouTube people not seeing this? Usually my YouTube people are usually the first one to speak. Speak up. Make sure YouTube is working. Check the view of the tube. Yeah, they're working. YouTube working. Okay. Oh, Omar, you been here before? Cool. Grand Rising Sean, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Some of the usual suspects. Welcome, Jay. If somebody is on YouTube, write a comment, because all I'm seeing is Facebook comments. Okay, thank you, Omar. I now understand where you're coming from. That's the plan, to teach some stuff tonight. We've been going towards the end of Joshua here, and these are the last 2 chapters of Joshua. It's more philosophical stuff that these 2 chapters teach that still cause problems in the world today. Thank you, Angelina, for making sure that YouTube is working properly. Appreciate that. Gonna get started here in about 30 seconds. Now, I was a little remiss about going into Joshua, but we damn sure gonna go into Judges. We're gonna continue the series of What's Wrong with the Bible. The next chapter is Judges. I know we'll go through Judges. We'll definitely do Judges. I don't remember the order of all the books, but I know when we get to Chronicles, I'm not doing Chronicles. I can tell you that one right off the bat. Chronicles For people who try to read the Bible like that, read the Bible, the whole thing from front to back, Chronicles usually is where they stop because it's so damn boring. All the begattins. Oh. But I didn't even want to talk about this chapter tonight, these two chapters, but it was the last chapters of Joshua. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and finish it. I had a whole nother subject matter that I wanted to talk about, but I just saved that for Monday. Save that for Monday. So if you don't know, we go live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday normally at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, having a late start tonight. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And so we can finish up the chapter of Joshua. And for the most part, what we're going to be reading here, just finished reading the book, Creating Christ. I haven't read that one yet. For the most part, what we're going to be reading here is some recounting of things. And we'll look at some of those recountings as things that never happened, but also the genocidal mentality that we see today stems from this. And one of the most famous quotes stems from Joshua 24. So let's go ahead and read this so we can get through this part and finish these two chapters. So if you remember the last two chapters, Joshua was still telling everybody what their inheritance was and telling them to go genocide people. Well, here we're going to have some of the recounting of things. Most of it is accurate to its recounting as far as what the Bible has said, not necessarily accurate in history. And then there is a verse later on in 24 that most scholars believe was added, but the way it was added doesn't read correctly as far as how the story supposedly happened. So a long time afterwards, when the Lord, this is Joshua 23, after a long time afterwards, when the Lord had given rest to Israel from all their enemies and all around, and Joshua was old and well advanced in years, Joshua summoned all Israel, their elders and heads, their judges and officers, and said to them, I am now old and well advanced in years, and you have seen all that the Lord your God has done to all the nations for your sake, for it is the Lord your God who has fought for you. Now, of course, we know this story is being told about their conquest, yet we know they've never conquered these lands at the time frame. This land was still controlled by Egypt. I have allotted to you an inheritance for your tribes, those nations that remain, along all the nations that I have already cut off, from the Jordan to the Great Sea in the west, that's the Mediterranean. The Lord your God will push them back before you and drive them out of your sight, and you shall possess their land as the Lord your God has promised you. Now, he's going to say this a couple of times where he's promoting how this God is going to genocide all these other people. Therefore, be very steadfast to observe and do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, turning aside from it neither to the right nor the left, so that you may not mix with these nations after you hear among you, or mix with these nations left here among you, or make mention of the names of their gods, or swear by them, or serve them, or bow yourselves down to them. But hold fast to the Lord your God, as you have done to this day. That part right there is one of the pieces of Bible that Bible believers use in order to annihilate people. It's also one of the ones that's mainly used to say that you shouldn't mix with races. So that this is what was used used in order to create laws in America that said that a black man and a white man, a black man and a white woman, and a white woman and a black man shouldn't be married. It was illegal for them to be married. Is because he's saying that don't mix with the nations left here among you. So this Bible was used in order to create those types of laws that we know existed in America up until like the 1950s. And some of those still, in some states, you can still find those laws are still in the books, right? Now, they did exactly like Q is saying. They did still mix races. just in the story of Ruth and Boaz, you have Ruth, who was a Moabite, who was with a Hebrew, an Israelite. Then when she went to Boaz, he's still an Israelite who got this Moabite woman. They had Obadiah, who had Jesse, who had David, and you follow the line up, and it's supposed to be the line of Jesus. So the very mixing that he's saying that you're not supposed to have, they mixed in order to get your Jesus character. So it's very hypocritical when they say that you shouldn't mix, when the very God that they worship comes from a line, a lineage that was mixed. So to continue, for the Lord, this is verse 9. For the Lord has driven out before you the great and strong nations, and as you have, and excuse me, and as for you, no one has been able to withstand you to this day. Although the Danites were not able to conquer the Canaanites in their realm, they weren't able to drive them out. One, and this is hyperbole, this next line, verse 10. One of you put to flight 1,000, since it is the Lord who fights for you, and he promised you. Now we know that's hyperbole. That is not, they didn't mean that literally, but that is hyperbole. It was trying to, sound like they're better. So I'll let them have that one. Be very careful, therefore, to love your Lord, your God, your God. For if you turn your back and join the survivors of these nations left among you, and intermarry with them, so that you marry their women and they yours, know assuredly that the Lord your God will not continue to drive out the nations before you, but they shall be a snare and a trap for you, a scourge on your side, a thorn in your eyes, until you perish from the good land that the Lord your God has given you. Some Israelites believe that this is why Israel was never didn't maintain their land. This is why they were conquered by the Assyrians, conquered by the Babylonians and Romans and Greeks and everybody else, is because they allowed this intermarriage. And we see that mentality still continue with the Jewish population that came to the Americas, the ones that went into Europe, the European Jewish, they still maintain this type of mentality. I will say, when I went to Israel in the 90s, for the guys who was trying to, get with some women, a lot of the Jewish women were very, like, if you're not Jewish, they weren't going to deal with you. If you weren't an Israelite, they weren't going to deal with you. So this kind of separation is still in existence today. Now, I know when I was there, it's been 30 years. So the next generation, the newer, younger generation, I'm sure there's a lot more mixing going on. But in the 90s, this was still a very prevalent mindset that the people have. And to finish this chapter, and now I am about to go away. Now I'm about to go away of all the earth. And you know in your hearts and souls, all of you, that not one thing has failed of all the good things that the Lord your God promised concerning you. All have come to pass for you. Not one of them has failed. But just as all good things that the Lord your God promised concerning you have been fulfilled for you, so the Lord will bring upon you all the bad things until he destroyed you from this good land that the Lord has given you. If you transgress the covenant of the Lord your God, which he enjoined on you, and go and serve other gods and bow down to them, then the anger of the Lord will kindle against you, and you shall perish quickly from the good land that he has given you. So this is kind of like I was discussing in one of the videos that I've done recently, the fact that, well, the one I did earlier today, in talking about Job and the devil and so on and so forth, about free will. There is no free will in this. This is, as he said in the very beginning, you got to keep the commandments of Moses. If you don't keep these commandments of Moses, then this God is going to destroy you. He's going to kill you. He has this coercion that he utilized in order to get people to worship him. That's Stockholm syndrome, right? If you leave me, I will beat you. But if you stay with me, then I will treat you right. Not many people are going to tolerate that type of behavior. But yet, if you take those people and say, okay, hey, would you do this in a relationship? You know, so let's say I came up to Debbie and I was like, Debbie, if you don't, if you love me, I'll treat you right. But if you don't, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Is she loving you of her own free will, or did I force her to love me? You see what I'm saying? Hold on, I'm trying to click on what. Do you think this idea had any relation to the story of the Tower of Babel? That Yahweh thinks that if humanity continues to come together, that there is nothing that they can imagine that they can't accomplish, which to me means humanity wouldn't need him anymore. I can see how you can make that connection because it is a similar mentality. Similar mentality is the same mentality that this God demonstrates, that he has to keep people separate. Now remember, this Yahweh God was given a portion of the people, and a portion, which his portion was people and not a land or territory. So part of it is because he only has these people. And in order to maintain his sovereignty, he has to maintain these people worship of him. We're going to see in 24 how he very much goes into the idea that don't go worshiping the older gods or other gods, but wants to keep everybody towards him. But that I can see that connection as well. So let's continue in 24 so we can finish off this chapter, this book actually. Oh, Barbados just want to rub it in that you in Barbados and I'm in Texas. Caribbean guy. All right. Chapter 24. Then Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and some of the elders, the heads, the judges, the officers of Israel, and they presented themselves before God. And Joshua said to all the people, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, long ago your ancestors, Terah and his sons Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates and served other gods. So this is in reference to the fact that Abraham and Nahor supposedly come from the town of Ur, which was a Sumerian Akkadian city. At the time frame of Abraham, it was being considered an Akkadian city, but the Akkadians and the Sumerians dwelled together for thousands of years, swapping positions of power. So Abraham is looked upon as a Sumerian who was leaving the city estate of Ur, and so they worship Enlil and Enki and Anu and Harsag and all of those gods. So that's the area to which he's speaking of, the Mesopotamia. Then I took your father Abraham and from beyond the river and led him through the land of Canaan and made his offspring many. I gave him Isaac, and to Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. I gave Esau the hill country of Seir to possess, but Jacob and his children went down to Egypt. Now I find it interesting. Jacob was supposed to be the child of the promise, the child that got the promise, got the benefit, got the birthright. He was sent down into Egypt, where if this God knows what's going to happen, you would think that he would have sent Esau's children down into Egypt, and Jacob's children would have stayed in Seir. Esau went and married a Canaanite and a Hittite woman. He said that he hated Esau. So why send Jacob into a place where you know is going to not work, while Esau gets to stay in the hill country and enjoy himself? So what happened to the cowboy hat? I'm wearing a t-shirt, man. It don't match, even though I can make it work. But I just had this hat on for the last couple hours. That's why. My wife knew somebody was going to say something about the hat. I started to go hatless. I started to just be like, hey, how y'all doing? Matter of fact, we're going to go hatless. Now, Paul, where was I? Down to Egypt. Oh, then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I plagued Egypt with what I did in the midst, and afterwards I brought you out. When I brought your ancestors out of Egypt, you came to the sea, and the Egyptians pursued your ancestors with chariots and horsemen to the Red Sea. When they cried out to the Lord, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians and made the sea come upon them and cover them. And your eyes saw what I did in Egypt. Afterwards, you lived in the wilderness a long time. Now, from what I said earlier, if you are a good parent and you love your children, and if Jacob is supposed to be the prized child, you should have let Jacob stay in Seir and sent Esau down there to be slaves forever and not care about what happens to Esau. But instead, you send the one that you're supposed to possess. Why? So you can perform these miracles? So you can let them see that you are God? Is that the only way? What parent says, let me send my favorite child, or let me send my child at all, through a whole bunch of bullshit just to make sure they know who I am? You know, that is the demented mindset of this God. But this is just their way of trying to explain why they have been tormented, why they've been conquered for so long throughout their history. So they made up this whole story, because we know none of the things in Egypt ever actually happened. So to continue. Afterwards, you lived in the wilderness a long time. Then I brought you to the land of the Amorites, who lived on the other side of the Jordan. They fought with you, and I handed them over to you. And you took possessions of their land, and I destroyed them before you, although the Amorites were still in existence after this time frame of the 1200s BCE. Now, many scholars believe that verse 9, which is what I'm about to read. Sean, new hat. See, they ain't talking about my hat. No, we talking about my hat. All right. Then, so verse 9, most scholars think that, well, it's debated. Let me say that. It's debated that verse 9 is a later addition to the story of Joshua. And that if you take it out, it may not have the same meaning. So let's explore that for a second. So in 8 is, then I brought you out of the land of the Amorites who lived on the other side of the Jordan. They fought for you. They fought with you, and I handed them over to you. And you took possession of their land, and I destroyed them before you. Then King Balak, son of Zippor of Moab, sent out to fight against Israel. He sent and invited Balaam, son of Beor, to curse you. But I would not listen to Balaam. Therefore, he blessed you. So I rescued you out of his hand. So if you took 9 out, it would read about the Amorites, and he handed them over and possessed the land. But I would not listen to Balaam. Therefore, he blessed you. So I rescued you out of the land. So they added that in so that it could fit into the narrative, so that you could understand the backstory of it all. But the thing about it is that Balaam never called out to Yahweh to curse the Israelite people, because that is the story of the talking donkey. And he was going to kill Balaam for beating the donkey. He didn't say he was going to kill Balaam for coming to King Balak. He was going to kill him because he was beating the donkey, according to the statements of the angelic being that supposedly came down. And then after that meeting, Balaam said that he could not curse Israel, but he offered them blessings. So he never not listened to him. So they wrote that wrong, is basically what I'm getting at. So verse 11, when you went over the Jordan and came to Jericho, the citizens of Jericho fought against you, as well as the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I handed them over to you. The most interesting thing here that we know is that the city of Jericho had already been destroyed before they ever got there. We know that the city of Ai had been destroyed and uninhabited before they got there. So, lies upon lies. I sent swarms of hornets ahead of you that drove out before you the two kings of the Amorites. It was not by your sword or by your bow. I gave you the land on which you had not labored, and towns that you had not built. And you lived in them. You eat the fruit of the vineyards, the olive yards that you did not plant. So he sent a locust, some animals to attack him. Reading animals, talking to her. Talking animals should be some bullshit. But yes, like a cartoon when the bees and stuff go and drive the person out. But like I say, there's no historicity to none of this. Then, therefore, revere the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in faithfulness. Put away the gods that your ancestors served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. Now, if you're unwilling to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your ancestors served in the region beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose lands you are living. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. You know, y'all have heard that one. But for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. That saying is the indoctrination of your children. That saying brings about the mindset that your children should be indoctrinated, because you're not going to allow your children to learn, but we're going to force them to worship this God. Now, I want you to take note, because historically, if you put this in the actual line that history follows, these were Canaanite people during the time frame of the Bronze Age collapse. Like when this story is being created, not when this happened. This didn't happen then. But when they're creating this story, this is during a time frame of the Bronze Age collapse. Is when the oral tradition of this probably began. So at this time, leaving the other Canaanites, the seaside Canaanite people, and going into the hill country, what you're seeing is the development of them rejecting the pantheon of the Canaanites, which would be El, his wife Asherah, Yahweh, Baal being brothers, and going to where they're just worshiping Yahweh. So they're saying, if you're going to come and be here with us, then you have to let go of the Canaanite gods pantheon, which the Canaanite god pantheon was just a massaging of the Mesopotamian. They're just putting it all the way back to the Mesopotamian gods. So they're really just doing their Joseph Smith deal, creating their Mormonism, creating their Seventh-day Adventists, their Jehovah Witness. They're creating their branch of the Canaanite religion to make their own version. And they're saying, if you're going to be with us, then this is what you're going to have to do, and leave those guys alone. But as for me and my house, we're going to use our brains, is what I would say. But how many of you guys grew up always hearing that popular little colloquialism or repeating that over and over again? I always heard it in church. I always heard it with, with just other people. Thankfully, my grandmother never quoted this. And she displayed that she didn't quote this, because it wasn't, we had to go to church up until a certain time frame, but it wasn't forced at the same level that in some people's households is forced. But if this was in your house growing up, were you pretty much punished with this thought process, this mentality? Was it a blue? What are you talking? I don't know. Are you talking to me, Paul? Was it a blue whale, a humpback whale, or a whale shark? If you're talking about the Jonah story, it was neither one. None of those sharks can swallow a person. You might be responding to somebody else. So I'm going to continue so we can finish this up. Then the people answered, "Far be it from us that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods. For it is the Lord our God who brought us and our ancestors up from the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. And what did those great signs, and who did those great signs in our sight? He protected us along all the way that we went and among all the people through whom we passed. And the Lord drove out before us all the peoples, the Amorites who lived in the land. Therefore, we also will serve the Lord, for he is our God." Oh, you was asking Trump, okay. So the people are saying that, yeah, we're going to worship this God. But Joshua said to the people, "You cannot serve the Lord, for he is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your transgressions or your sins." Now, there's a lot of Christians who will use that verse to say that Joshua was talking about the coming of Jesus, that the Israelite people would not be able to truly worship God until Jesus came, and Joshua was prophesying Jesus. But if you continue to read this, as we will, you see that it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus. So he said, because then he says, if you forsake the Lord and serve foreign gods, then he will turn and do you harm and consume you after having done you good. And the people said to Joshua, "No, we will serve the Lord." Then Joshua said to the people, "You are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen the Lord to serve him." And they said, "We are witnesses, Jehovah Witnesses." You get that part? Jehovah Witnesses. And he said, "Then put away the foreign gods that are among you and incline your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel." So that is not talking about Jesus at all. All he did was say that, nah, y'all ain't serving God because y'all still got some of the old gods, in your bags and stuff. And he's like, no, we're gonna serve. And it's like, well, okay, because you got to put that shit away, otherwise he's gonna turn away from you. And he said, "So are you a witness to the great things that this God has given?" "Yes, we are witnesses to it." All right, then. That's what I thought. And this is where, from my understanding, where Jehovah's Witnesses get their idea of calling themselves witnesses, because they are in the line of witnessing the great things that this God supposedly did in Egypt. No. So to continue, where we are witnesses for the way you foreign gods. Okay, 24. The people said to Joshua, "The Lord our God, we will serve him. We will serve we will serve, and him we will obey." So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day and made statutes and ordinances for them at Shechem. Make statues, as in like idols, but statute like laws, rules, and ordinances for them at Shechem. Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of God, and he took a large stone and set it there under the oak in the sanctuary of the Lord. Joshua said to all the people, "See, this stone shall be a witness against us, for it has heard all the words of the Lord that he has spoken to us. Therefore it shall be a witness against you if you deal falsely with your God." So Joshua sent the people away to their inheritance. So he makes a covenant with them, and then just gets to his death. And after these things, Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. They buried him in his own inheritance at Timnath Sierra, which is in the hill country of Ephraim and north of Mount Gash. Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua and had known all the works that the Lord did for Israel. The bones of Joseph, which the Israelites had brought up from Egypt, were buried at Shechem in the portion of the ground that Jacob had bought from the children of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of money. It became an inheritance to the descendants of Joseph. Now, they supposedly know where this is at. They give them the descriptions, but they seem to not be able to find it. Eleazar, son of Aaron, died, and they buried him at Gibreth, the town of his son Phinehas, which had been given him in the hill country of Ephraim. That is the conclusion of reading Joshua 24. So they tell you where these people are buried, but yet we can't find none of them. They've never, ever, in all the histories, you would think that this would have been so important that we would know where these people are buried, and they would be able to have the bones and whatnot, and you'd be able to date those bones to see if they match up to the historical time frame that the Bible says that they existed. But of course, we have none of these bones. But it is a messed up thing how this book, this portion of this book is utilized to perpetuate the genocides that's going on in Palestine right now, and any and all other genocides that has ever happened. These types of mentalities was used in order to preach in the churches to genocide the indigenous people of different countries that Christians inhabit. And this just is the Christian way of doing things, and the Jewish way, the Israelite way of doing things. So when they say this book is filled with morals, this book is filled with segregation, institutionalized slavery, and genocide. And we saw that it has contradictions. It tells them not to marry. If you intermarry, then you will bring destruction. But it is that intermarriage that brought on their Jesus character, their David character, their Solomon character. If it wasn't for intermarriage, those characters wouldn't exist. So that in itself should tell you that this book is a pack of lies. Because if you're going to have the lineage of David, why have Boaz marry a Moabite woman? Why couldn't she have just been an Israelite woman? And according to their custom and their law, she would have been able to still maintain the inheritance from her father or her husband by simply marrying another Israelite. That was their law, so that would have been very simple for them to follow that pathway, but instead they had to make her a Moabite woman. But what do you guys think about those two chapters? We're finished with Joshua. The next book is Judges. Judges does have some good stuff in it, so just some wild ass stories. And I just want to talk about Judges 19. So we're definitely going to go through Judges as well. Yes, the entire thing is fictional. Everything that supposedly happened with this story could not have happened. If you use Bible chronology of who begat who, then all of this happened in the 1200s. If you use the Solomon statement of when he built the temple, all of this happened in the 1300s. Either way, Egypt controlled this land through all that time frame. And it's just that one simple thing should be enough to make you say, this book is full of lies. It's fictional, as Debbie said. But if you don't when you're a people, when this is being written down, it's being written down somewhere around the 500, 400 BCE. You've been conquered by the Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, and you just got released by the Persians. Still under captivity as a vassal state to them. You want to create your own history. The Persians got this antiquity. The Babylonians had an antiquity. The Assyrians had an antiquity. Everybody had an antiquity. And here you are an oppressed people and you have no antiquity. And we can see this even in our own history. From the 1920s on up, especially when you get into Marcus, well, even beyond that, when you start looking at people like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, part of their whole thing was, hey, Black people, we have a history that started before slavery. And they were trying to push that history out. And we see that going on today where people are trying to learn the history of their ancestors. People have a desire to want to have a history beyond the most tumultuous times of their history. These people were looking at, we've been conquered for a couple thousand years here. Let's make up some shit that we were once a great people. And that's all that they did. That is all that they did, was they created a made-up history. Now, I haven't noticed Christians ambushing people, proselytizing their members, ambushing them outside of stores, bothering them in residential streets. Actually, I'm working on a video about the fact that of how Christianity and most other religions are dying. They are dying out. More and more people around the world are walking away from religions. And it's a beautiful thing. Absolutely beautiful. And y'all don't get worried. This was a cigar that I didn't finish smoking. I got a whole nother one sitting right next to me. Yeah, if somebody said they read the Bible and it made sense to them, they're lying. The only other way is that they read it with already knowing that whatever they find disturbing, they're going to look for the excuse, the reason, the way to rationalize it. But I don't think that most people are, I believe that very few people in this world, in comparison to the population, has ever read this book. But yeah, they do cherry pick and choose what's worth learning. And, you know, when they look at it, when these people was writing it, they didn't really care about his historical accuracy. They didn't. For them, it was about just creating a history. You know, that's all they really cared about, is creating a history, creating some level of pride within themselves. Jeremy, actually, they only wanted to show that their God was a good God towards them, but a negative God towards everybody else, and that everybody else's God, they still believed that everybody else's God existed and had their own rules. And when another people prospered, it was because of their God. Like when they were in the battle against the Shamash, they said that God won because the people did the sacrifice that God needed. So they still accepted other people's gods, but they wrote their gods very similar to everybody else's God. Because the mentality of the people of that day was that these gods had very human-like qualities. They can become jealous if you don't continue to love them and worship them. So they weren't trying to make him a good God yet, not this all-around good God. That actually began to happen in Judaism in and around the 2nd century CE, is when they started to try to make this God truly just a good God. Because before that, he was this just like a person, which was just like every other God, except he was just divine and he was in charge. and fear was the primary thing that they looked at. It is because Christianity started coming about and teaching of a good God, just a good God, just a good God. Other people's their narrative of their God began to change because they saw the rise of Christianity through the 1st and 2nd century. Drew, you're not too bad because we didn't start till 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Really? I didn't know that their names were being downsized or disrespected. From what I've seen, the younger generation are really picking up more so on Malcolm than they picking up on Martin. But I mean, of course, we don't get to see the same stuff. So maybe you're seeing something that I haven't seen yet. Yeah, we started at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tonight. That's not our normal start time, but it has some things to do. Hmm. So Jeremy said he didn't get to receive rest. I'm going to say let's see, that we'll get this status. But right, okay. Right, because at the beginning, their God is he, and if you go and when you, as we have discussed the other gods before, we see the parallels between the personality of Yahweh El. It's the same personalities of Enlil, Enki, Marduk, Zeus, Poseidon. You know, all these gods of ancient times, who they believe was controlling the weather, had similar personalities because if you gave the weather personalities, there are sunny days and then there are rainy days. There are rainy days that you want, which provides water for your crops and water for you. Then there are storms that destroys your crops. So when you give the God the control of these weathers and the attributes of these weather and how they are perceived by the person, they have these positive and negatives. Oh, the sun is great. It gives life. Oh, damn, we're going through a drought. The sun is scorching and killing me. God must be mad. Yeah. What that's why I try to change my algorithm of what I get in my feeds constantly. And I'll search for certain things just to make sure I'm not getting the same people and the same information. And I certainly don't trust the news. I ain't gonna trust the news. Hell, you have the same 6 stories being told all over the country. And they're all scripted. It's all a whole script. But and anybody who says they read this book, they understood it and it's good, they're just liars. Plain and simple liars. No way around it. It's just full of lies. Like how can so if you didn't see the video I did earlier today, I'm only going to talk about one because the other one I want to say for Monday. But how can any Christian or Israelite or Islamic read the story of Job and say that this God is a good God? He literally punished Job because the devil made him do it. Who watched that video that I posted like an hour or two ago about morality and Job and the devil made God act? Has anybody watched that video yet? It's a good video, if I say so myself. You know, I'm a little scared of you, man. Lawnmower Man, didn't he? I don't watch them kind of movies, but don't he kill people? Okay, Will seen it. Lawnmower Man seen it. Sean seen it. Q, right, made a deal with the devil to punish the best, his best dude. Sheila seen it. Cool, cool, cool. So the gentleman that I wasn't reacting to him, I was responding to his video or adding to his video, I should say. Q seen it, cool. The gentleman was saying that if I came into someone's house and I drowned the cat, roped the family up, burned the house down, killed the family, you would say that I was immoral. But God does the same, allows the same thing to happen, and then I claim that the devil made me do it, you would say that I was immoral. God does the same thing. He allows Job's family to go through all that bullshit. And when you look at the story, he did it because the devil said that the only reason you protect him is because he worships you. You mess up his life and he won't. So the devil made him do it because of his response. But that's the behavior of this God. Because this God simply was acting like a child in this heavenly council. Job was minding his business. Even the Satan was minding his own damn business. But yet, you questioned the Satan. You brought up Job. And then you made the bet. And for what purpose? Because on the video, I proffered this question. If the Satan, according to Christianity and Judaism and all that, is supposed to be the devil, right? The devil has no means, according to Revelations, to ever be able to reconcile with this God. Yet. So for whose sake, who are you trying to prove anything to? You want to make the devil better? You're trying to open the devil's eyes? The devil doesn't know. He's already supposed to be cast into this lake of fire. So who? That makes absolutely no sense, other than this is a kid playing with his ants, putting a magnifying glass to an ant colony. Time for a new one. Yep. And you would be called crazy if you said the devil made me do it. Yep. Gonna get the beast to make his people suffer. Even goes to the point and say, I'm gonna let him loose. I'm gonna let him loose for a while to cause mischief and issues. Who does that? I'm gonna let him loose for a while to cause issues, to cause people to not believe, to cause suffering. That's not a good parent. Exactly. I mean, he literally pushed his buttons. I mean, when you look at the story, he's like, he could have just said, "Have you seen my servant Job?" Yeah, I seen him, and left it at that. But it's like, yeah, I seen him, but it actually reminds me of, you guys seen the movie Nefarious? It reminds me of the scene when he first went in Nefarious, when the Nefariosos is explaining theology, that they are pushing this guy's buttons. Like when I was making that video, like the scene from Nefarious just kept going through my mind of how they're like, okay, let me see how I can destroy what this guy loves. And so he pushed this guy's buttons to allow him to mess with Job. Yeah, and free will. Christians truly can't believe in free will if they believe the Bible. There is no free will within the Bible. It's just an excuse for them to, oh, I did this. But if your God knows everything and has seen everything, then there is no free will. Ooh, it's got a hard spot in it. Got a hard spot right there. I know I've done a video about this, but this is a one of those things that like drove me crazy as a kid, right? That according to this Bible, anyone can get forgiveness. But yet the first children of this God cannot be forgiven for their one mistake. That makes no sense at all. Now, if you think about, since I mentioned nefarious, let's try that on for size, right? In the in that scene in Nefarious, he talks about the fact that when the angels were created, they were created with free will, but they were created at the same level of the realm of God. So they would have known all the ins and outs of how the heavenly realms work, how the universe works, even before the universe was created. They would have had more knowledge, more understanding than what man has. So, in coming to their consciousness of free will, they didn't see it as being fair that only if they obey this God do they get to live in this realm. But if they disobey this God, they do not get to live in this realm. So then, therefore, there is no free will. So they rebelled because they truly wanted free will. When they lost, they saw that this God created man. Man was created of free will, but without the knowledge of how the universe works and without the knowledge of the God realms and all those sort of things. We didn't even know the difference between good and bad. So Nefarioso's deal was, let's destroy man's creation. Let's destroy this guy's creation. Let's destroy his dumb animal that he loves. If you think about it, Adam, according to this Bible, is no better than a goat. No better than a goat. Before they ate from the tree of knowledge, they were like dumb animals. Mm. did this video. I would rewrite this and say, according to the Jesus walk, Sambo, Kanye, slavery was free will, the stupidest thing I ever heard. Uncle Tom was actually the hero. It was the minstrel shows in the 1920s, or before the 1920s, but it was the minstrel shows that flipped the Uncle Tom character to be just like Sambo. But it was actually Sambo who was the villain, the black villain in Uncle Tom's Cabin. Uncle Tom was actually the hero. But yeah, without knowledge, humans would just be great pets. What they named the animal, he saw goat, cow, rat, and just grunting out sounds. Adam and Eve's sin shouldn't count against us. Another Bible contradiction. Ezekiel 18:20 states that a person who sins is the one who will die. The child will not share the guilt of the parent, nor will the parent share the guilt of the child. The righteousness of the righteous will be credited to them. The wickedness of the wicked will be charged to them. Exactly. But because of that contradiction, because of that statement, this is why you have a lot of pastors today who switched it up. Well, they started switching it up in my area in the late 80s, early 90s, and started, instead of saying we was born in sin because of Adam and Eve, they started switching it up and saying that we were born into a sinful world, that the world has sin in it, and that we can allow ourselves to get caught up in that sin. So I noticed back then when they started changing that. I don't know if where you guys are, if you saw that change happen. But I would never, the things that I have, that would be like saying that the things that I have done. So I messed up in my first marriage, stepped outside the marriage. Should a woman look at my son and say that, well, since your father did that in his first marriage, then you're going to do it too. I'm going to hold you accountable for that. I'm not going to trust you. That's like saying that. And then the other part, I have no ancestry that comes from the Middle East. This is a Middle Eastern religion. So why should I be punished for something that some people who ain't got nothing to do with me in my heredity? Why should I be punished? That ain't gonna happen. That's just dumb. Like father, like no. My children learn from my mistakes in the same way that I learned from my mistakes, their trauma. Ha 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 ha. I taught them about the hurt and pains that you can do to your own selves by doing some stupid shit. That's why at their ages, they're better with money than I was at their age. They take better care of themselves. Well, no, I took actually great care of myself at that age, but they actually do better, except for my oldest. So what is baptism for then? Isn't it to wash away the sins of Adam and Eve? Another contradiction. So there are some who say that baptism is to a cleansing ritual, but it's not to wash away Adam and Eve's sins. It's to wash away whatever sins you were doing before you came over to the faith. but it is also an outward demonstration that you believe in this God, that you believe in Jesus, rather. But it's to wash away your previous sins that you had already been, that you committed. So the baptism really doesn't have anything to do with the Adam and Eve sin. I'm with you. You want to what we always ask? Just call on Shamash. Shamash already done whooped his ass. And I don't think that the king sacrificed his son, because in their story, it doesn't say anything about sacrificing a person. They was just trying to make it like, oh, see, the only reason they won because they sacrificed a whole human. I was baptized as a child. Can I take it back? Actually, there's nowhere in the Bible that actually says that you're supposed to baptize children. That is a Catholic creation. According to the Bible, you're supposed to come to baptism of your own free will with full knowledge of what you're doing. That was one of the problems that Martin Luther had with the Catholic Church, and was taken up by Protestants, by the Protestant religions. Now, me, I was baptized at around 15, 16 years old, and I came up on my own free will, and I was hoping that it would clear up all my questionings, but it didn't. But yeah, so the Catholics were the ones who said you got to baptize in Christian children, but that's just a means of control. You were baptized as a child, so you have to continue to follow this religion. Ooh, this one got some massive hard spot in it. My wife didn't roll this one, by the way. This is a different one. Yep. I remember when that priest was yelling at the baby and smacked the baby. I was mad at the parents. I'd have whooped that priest's ass. Well, it depends on which Protestants you're talking about, but you're right. A lot of Protestants still do a dedication ceremony. The Baptist church, my former mother-in-law was pissed at me because she wanted me to dedicate my children. I was like, no. My children, I told her my children are blameless. If they decide to follow Christian, and I told her if they decide to follow Christianity of their own accord, they will make that choice themselves. And she was not happy with me. Uh-oh. But yeah, a lot of the larger Protestant organizations or denominations from mainstream Protestantism, they do the baby dedications. The Methodists, they do baby dedications. You know, hell, almost any preacher do a baby dedication if you put some money in the pot. But all you did is get into some water and participate in some witchcraft. That's all. You just participated in some witchcraft. Don't feel bad. A little witchcraft is good for you. Make you stronger. Y'all need a little witchcraft in your life. Oh, this is a. Do you wash gold to make it pure? You sure do not. Now, if you think about it, take that approach. How do you purify gold? You got to put that shit in the fire. Same way that they used to practice the Moloch sacrifice and putting their children in the fire. You got to put that some bitch through the fire. So in a metaphysical mindset, the way to purify yourself is to put yourself through, is to make your way through the struggles, through the fires in your life, to be and come out better than you were and not go back and keep making the same mistakes. I like that one. I like that. I'm gonna use that for my coaching. Who wrote that? John. I'm gonna use that for my coaching, just to let you know. So if I ever coach any of y'all, and I say that, know that I got it from John. So when this was always my understanding, right? And this is if Christians actually read the Bible and understood it. The sacrifice of Jesus wasn't for you to stack up a bunch of sins and then when you get to heaven, you're good to go. You were supposed to believe in Jesus and follow Jesus and change who you are. Then you're still going to make some mistakes. And if you die and you haven't, and you're still going to make mistakes, but you're supposed to repent of those mistakes. Repenting is to go back and fix the situation. So if I came to Stephanie's house and I borrowed her car and then wrecked her car, I either should pay for her a rental car until she's able to get another car, or go buy her a car, or give her my car until she can get another car. But I'm supposed to fix the situation that I created, right? If you didn't fix a sin that you committed before you died, then Jesus is supposed to be able to wash away your sin. But no sin is washed away. No other sins are washed away until you repent from those sins. But Christians think that they can just say, oh, Jesus, forgive me, and they're good. But that's not how it's works. How it's supposed to work according to their Bible, which used to piss off people. But that's not going to work in the mainstream of the world. It's not. People have car wrecks and drive off. Oh man, my insurance gonna go up. And yeah, that's not a sacrifice when you get up in 3 days. Appreciate that, John. I will use anything. I appreciate you letting me use all your stuff. Getting up in 3 days is not a sacrifice. What did you suffer? That's like my son murdered somebody. I go to jail for 5 years. I get out. I go to jail for 3 days rather, and then I get out. What sacrifice did I make? I ain't making a sacrifice. That's right. At least Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was in some fire. These mugs ain't done nothing. They're getting in some water. I understand where you're going. If you knew it was wrong and did it anyway, you can't repent. But you still can repent because you knew it was wrong, you did it, but then you can still go back and fix it, even though you knew it was wrong. It just, your sin is a little worse because you knew you was doing some jacked up stuff. I like that one. And this is why the Bible is a culturally based book, right? If you was writing the Bible today, you wouldn't write Mary being 13, 14 years old. She'd be a grown woman. She'd be 21 years old. You wouldn't even write that she was betrothed to Joseph because if you're writing this from an American perspective or Western perspective, you wouldn't write that you do arranged marriages. It's all written based on the culture of those people and how they perceive nature and how they perceive God. So why should we today accept their lack of knowledge? Exactly, David. That's why I always use the example that if my son murders somebody, but I go to jail for him, I got to stay in jail the whole time. If he murders somebody else, I got to get the extra punishment for him murdering somebody else because people consistently sin. So my jail time should be adding up, adding up, adding up, adding up, adding up. If I was truly writing that Jesus, and think about the emotions that you can create with this. Jesus died for you on the cross, and he sits in the lake of fire until judgment day. You know, you can say that he came back and resurrected to show that who he was, but say that he went back to sit in the fire, taking on all the sins of the world until it is time for his return. But have it where he made so that you can make people, you can tell people, so every time you sin, there's more pain and torture given to Jesus. That's why he went through the cat o' nine tails. That's why he was beaten and bruised. He's in the pit of fire right now. Still, like if I was creating a religion, I would say that the Messiah type is still being battered and bruised for every iniquity that you do. So you need to work better to you need to be more on the straight and narrow of what I'm teaching you. That's that's better mind control right there. But in their time frame, sons of gods ascended. Achilles ascended, Hercules ascended, Dionysus ascended, Horus ascended. They all ascend. So that was the norm for those people. But that's how I would have wrote it. Because I can get all your emotions that way. Ooh, I get all the emotions. I'll be like, Jesus is in hell right now. He's in that pit of fire. The demons are having their way with him. For every time you sin, another strike is applied to his back. I am not, John. I am not repeating that. John. John, stupid. Ah. But think about that though. If you really wanted people to get emotional about it and stay stuck with that emotion and control them better, that's what I would teach. Well, no, according to their teachings, he went down into he didn't even go to the lake of fire. He went into he went into Sheol, and Sheol consisted of Abraham's bosom and Abaddon. All the bad people were in Abaddon, all the good people were in Abraham's bosom. Supposedly, he just went to Abraham's bosom, got those people, and took them with him to heaven. The people in Abaddon had to stay in Abaddon. So he didn't even really go anywhere to suffer. So when they were saying that, oh, he got the keys to hell or all that bullshit, that's just bullshit. God dang, some flying bug. Oh, there's a hole in the screen. That's how you got in here, you little punk. I tell you, you don't want my wife to find a flying bug in here. She will kill it. I can't. I can't with y'all. I can't. He had the blue pill. This cigar is terrible because it's not working. Right. Sheol is not the lake of fire. That autocorrect be messing you up, don't it? John and Sean, I'm about to put y'all in timeout. I'm about to put both of y'all in timeout. Y'all starting to act like Trauma and Tim and Wrath. I guess it got you too, huh? That you speak on things you don't understand. I'm a born savior and saw the underworld with my own eyes, or a burned savior. Really? Prove it. What proof do you have that you went to the underworld? And I did not say that the underworld was hell. You weren't listening. I said that the Jesus characters claim to have went into Sheol, which is the equivalency of the underworld when you look at the Greek, Egyptian, and other Roman ideas of the underworld. And so I never said that. The hellscape is supposed to be the lake of fire. In Sheol, there is the Abaddon and Abraham's bosom. So make sure you get it right when you say what I said. You should have had a horrible. I don't like acid. I'm not. I don't like flavored cigars. So I know a lot of people like those, but I don't. I knew this was going to be his proof, y'all. I think that's a dude. I knew it was going to be his proof of my life. My life is proof. So that means that Krishna is real, Allah is real, Zeus is real, Thor, Odin real, Odamare, Eshu real. All the gods are real then, because everybody who believes in those gods says that their life is proof of that God's existence. So, yeah. So did you have like some teachers mushrooms, or did you have what kind of mushrooms you was on? Even I like mushrooms, but what kind of no, what kind of cocaine, what kind of hashish were you on? Come on, man, get out of here with that. You ain't got no real proof, then And no, I am not God. No one is. Yep, indeed. Oh, I'm putting it in right now. So if you like some cigars, that's where you email me there. But it's in the comments. I understand. I don't waste cigar. Like this one is very difficult to smoke, but I'm a. I squeeze it so much trying to massage out the hard spots that it is cracking. But I'm gonna finish it. Actually, gonna piss me off, and when I finish, I'm gonna go out to the front porch and have another one. Be the late night nosy neighbor. But you know, when people say that he said that I'm God. You're not God. If you were God, if you cannot be God, you're limited. You're too damn limited to be a God. You're a God to an ant. No, you're not, because the ant will bite your ass. You're not even a God to your pets. You may have God-like qualities to your pets, but you're not God. You might have a spark. You have a spark in you of what we would call divinity, but you ain't God. You're welcome, T-Pain. Oh, the arguments. Do you believe in yourself? Of course, I believe in myself, but I also know myself's limitations. So, like, just to give you an easy way of understanding that. Oh, you never said I was wrong. But of course, I believe in myself, but I know my limitations. I know that I cannot teleport. I would love to teleport. You know, on my little Marvel channel, I ask people, you know, if you could have any power, what power would it be? And people, you know, saying all this, I want to fly. No, teleportation. It's the baddest damn power ever. But I can't do it. Can't do it. But if I was God, I could do it. Right. Because I make decisions for my life, I am the God of my life. I like that. I agree with that. But even at that, I know that other people can have influences that can go beyond my will in my life. How would you know how deep or shallow my experiences are if you don't know me? Could you not realize that it is the depth of my experiences that has brought me to the knowledge that I have and the philosophy that I follow? Because if you knew me, you would know that, but you don't. Yep. Telepathy would be the second one. It's your spirit. That's just another way of saying that I don't agree with you on certain things, so I'm going to disqualify you. That's all that argument is. You know nothing. There's people who've been on this channel, been on my channels for almost a decade, if not a decade, and they still maybe only know a tenth of me. Only a tenth of me. And less than that of my experiences. Like, I will tell you that I've been to Egypt and Israel and been to the Vatican and to all these other places. I can tell you the things that I saw, but I can't, there are no words to express some of the impacts and the emotions that occurred in those spaces. Like, you don't know my experience at the Wailing Wall or in Bethlehem, where Jesus supposedly was born, at the church that they built over it. You have no idea, especially at that time frame. You have to know me of that time frame. Yeah, I love that movie Jumper, but you'd have at that time frame. You'd have to know what I have been going through for the last That would have been about 20 years of my, no, not 20 years, that's too much. About 12 years of my life before then. My pleasures and my sufferings. You'd have to know all that. Put me on this path. Are the name changes? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Put me on the path. Are the name changes? You don't change someone's name. Yeah, I didn't understand that one. If you were talking to me. I know, it just got me reminiscing about some of the experiences that I had. Um, I remember going to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. No. Where's my shoe? Ah, you little fucker. Hold on. Gotcha. My wife wouldn't be able to sleep in the house if there was a flying bug in the house. Yes, I just murdered a bug. So the first time I went to Israel, that was during the time frame where I was hardcore Christian, trying to walk the way of the Bible, living my life according to the Bible. Didn't participate in anything pagan, no pagan rituals, no Christmas, Easter, none of that bullshit. If it wasn't in the Bible, I wasn't doing it. And no. So I get to the Wailing Wall. And first I thought it was odd. The women had to go to one side, the men had to go to another side. But because I understood that there was a separation between men and women in the Bible and all that sort of thing, it didn't bother me too much, but it kind of bothered me because I was American. But I told myself, I said, you know what? That's my American side speaking. And American culture doesn't matter. The Bible matters. So I go to the Wailing Wall, they give me my little piece of paper. And I remember what I wrote on that piece of paper. And I shoved it into the wall. And whatever you pray for, you're supposed to receive. It's supposed to happen. That's what they tell you. But it wasn't about what I prayed for or what I wrote on there. When I touched that wall, there is no way you could not have told me at that moment that the Spirit of God just came all over me. I was at that damn wall. I'm crying. I'm thinking like, yes, he is answering me. He is demonstrating that, he is my father, that the Bible is right. I mean, that emotion was so strong. That feeling was so strong. Like John said earlier, it was like holding a crystal in your hand and feeling the heat. It was like, oh, it was powerful. And then from there, we went to the what was the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? No, that's not that. Yeah, went to Calvary. Went to Calvary from there. I don't know if that's the church that they call on top of Calvary. I forgot what it's called. Went there and it was like, this is where Jesus, the hole was at, and then this is where you go to the tomb and you laid your hand on the tomb. But I thought the tomb was kind of weird because I was like, this is too damn close. But then the next day I went on another one and it was like the Protestant version, and it was along in the hillside with a whole bunch of graves. And I was like, and I felt that power. I was feeling that power. Did you put a prayer in the wall? Yeah, I put a prayer in the wall. And at that moment, you could not have told me that the Bible wasn't true. You could not have told me that I was walking the path of Jesus. Like on there's no you could not have. Now I knew that some of the places that they were claiming was this and that were their best guesses, but you couldn't. You could not have told me. But that same day is when I met this gentleman, David Hasid. And the next day, he took me into, I met him in Tel Aviv, and he took me into the museum, and we went underneath the museum, and we were looking at some artifacts and things of that nature. And, you know, I'm seeing some of the papyri that they were working on and all this stuff. And that's when I started seeing and learning the contradictions. And I fought against that. I was like, nah, these scholars are just getting it wrong. But over the next few years, it was like, damn, fuckers was right. But if I just went on my life experience, that would be it. Or when I was hanging off of a highway sign over the highway, and from out of nowhere, the strength came upon me to pull myself up. That was God. That gave me that strength to pull me up. If I just went on my life experience. If I went on my life experience when I was in Liberia during the evacuation and seeing the atrocities that were being committed, Christian against Christian, my experience would tell me that this religion is immoral as hell, and that this God is allowing for these women and children and innocent people to be massacred if I went on my experience. You know. So experience don't mean really a lot. Experience is only what you attach to it. That's what experience taught me, is that whatever you attach to the experience becomes that. I've never had a death experience because I've never died. And if you're on this live tonight, you've never died. You may have died according to what man thinks death is, but you have never died. But there is no underworld. You got to have some proof. Yeah. People, the best saying for when people talk about is my experience or my feelings is fuck your feelings. Because your feelings don't mean nothing. Okay. No one has died and come back. But everybody who's had a near death experience, near death, not death, near death. If they were Muslim, they had Muslim near death experiences, seeing Muslim stuff most of the time. If you were Hindu or Indus, you had Indus near death experience most of the time. Most people in near death experiences are somehow amazingly similar to what they have been taught or what they believe. But ain't nobody ever died and came back. Now, if you cannot be respectful, you can get the hell on. I will be respectful to you as long as you are respectful to me and others on this chat. But if you resort to name calling, you can shut all the fucks up. Because did I sit up here and call you a delusional, ignorant asshole of a piece of pesticide that you spray on bugs to kill the bug because you ain't nothing but poison. I didn't call you anything like that. I didn't say that you were the shit that's under my shoe. I didn't call you that. So why are you calling somebody some people names? We don't do that here. We don't do that here. I didn't say that you smell like ass crack. I didn't say that. We don't do that here. We don't do that. I don't sit up here and say that you look like a rat and a sloth had a baby. We don't do that. Keep it clean, my guy. Keep it clean. You know, I don't recall ever asking someone why they're Christian. Unlike Christians, I don't go out trying to convince people or change people. You know, I don't do that. So I don't even bother. Did voodoo start in Kemet? No. From my understanding, voodoo started as voodoo in West Africa and then got mixed in with some Caribbean and Christian religions, and that's voodoo in the Caribbean and like Louisiana. But it didn't start in Kemet. Let me tell you the difference between me and D Senior. So earlier today, I responded to a guy's comment, and I thought that he was making a comment that was a straw man and that it was dumb. And when he made a second comment, I was like, that's just dumb. He then came back and corrected and said that's not what he meant. The only thing that I said after that was my apologies. This always shows me the difference between a person who actually is of a higher vibration and who's not. Because after he called me a retard and I expressed to him about how we conduct ourselves on this higher vibration here, his responses were all silence. I'm not Christian. I'm a human. You see, when you offend someone, when you call someone a name when they haven't called you a name and you were originally having a peaceful discussion, and you realize that you went too far to the left, if you don't have it within you to recognize when you have done something like that and fix it, as in like repentance, that just demonstrates that your vibration is right around here. Yeah, you're on a low vibration. You're not up here. You're not up here. And this is one of the things that I appreciate D Senior for being here for that. Because it helps to demonstrate what I talk to you guys all the time about, the fact that if you want to raise your consciousness, you have to have the humility to know yourself, recognize your words, your actions, your deeds. And when you have made a mistake, like I've come and done many correction videos, to be able to do it. I'm sorry I offended you, but call me a liar. I didn't call you a liar. You talked about death experience. You cannot, no one has died and come back with proof that they died and came back. That's not calling you a liar. And the thing about it is that you didn't say that you died and came back. You said you were talking about death experiences. To say that I'm talking about death experiences, you could be talking about anybody's death experiences. See, even in your apology, you're just slow. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Dude, seriously? It's the low vibrational mindset. Low vibrational mindset. Yes, we were speaking of the underworld. And all he said was, I'm talking about death experience. Didn't elaborate anything whatsoever. And this is this is not a gotcha conversation. It's nothing of that nature. It's just a basic conversation that you don't know how to maintain a level of respect. And when you're being called out on the carpet for that, you are jumping around to other stuff. Yes, ma'am. What? Huh? Okay. Huh? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That got me in trouble. All right, tell me I need to check my phone. Hold on a second. I swear that woman. Sorry. Y'all know my wife comes before any of y'all. No, she the okay, so my house, this house, echoes a lot. So she closed the door softly, but it sounds loud. So D Senior, you're not a Christian, as you claim. You say you're just a human. You say you're just asking a question, but yet I see no question that you ask. All I've seen is statements. All you've made are statements. No questions whatsoever. If you have a question, ask a question instead of making your statement. And then you claim you're not a human. I mean, that you're not a Christian, but do you believe in Jesus? Do you follow a God sense that comes from the Bible? Does your cosmology of the God come from the Bible? Okay, ask your three questions again. See, that's the kind of thing I don't understand. I said ask the question. If it's way up in the chat, I'm not going to go searching for it. Just ask the questions again. That's just okay. There you go. There go on. Because like there are a bunch of people chatting on Facebook and YouTube, so I'm not going to see everything everybody writes. What does the world need? The world needs a lot, but what the world needs the most, even though this is not the most popular thought process, I think the world needs consideration the most. The world needs consideration the most. The consideration to think that if I wouldn't want something to happen to me in my life, then I'm not going to do that to someone else's life. So if I don't want to be treated differently because of my skin tone, because of my gender, because of the nation that I was born in, because of the religion that I believe in, if I don't want to be treated differently because of that, I'm not going to treat anybody else differently. So if you take that into, if people had the consideration of other people that they would want for themselves, the world would be 100 times better than it is right now. Because you wouldn't be able to say, well, I want to go to war, or I want to send someone else to war, because I wouldn't want to go to war myself, or I wouldn't want to be sent to war. So I'm not going to send someone else to war. So the world needs more consideration based on their own desires than anything else. Because we can say the world needs more love and all that kind of stuff, but consideration for one's fellow man. I wouldn't say common sense trauma. Because common sense ain't common. Common sense just ain't common. What the world needs now, your love, sweet love. Oh, that ain't the voice that ain't the voice y'all like. Hold on. What the world needs now, your love, sweet love. That's the one you want. Right. We can use that. We can use some. I mean, all these other things, respect, critical thinking, those are great things. You knew that was coming, Trauma? That's my favorite voice that I like to use because I just find it so interesting that you can hear that voice and look at the image of the person you're seeing and wonder how in the hell did that voice come out of that guy. Such a wonderful thing, and I don't know how I do it. It just happens, and I just do it. I don't even know when I started. I can understand what you're saying, Randy. That's why I put it in the sense of I'm not going to what I would want, the respect, the love, the thought processes that I would have for that I would desire for myself. I would want that from everybody else. I know John can't stand that voice. It's all right. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be all right. I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So that's a Holy Ghost placebo effect. Now, I'm really curious as to what these seniors. What's your spirituality? What is your spirituality? Since you say you're not Christian, how would you identify your spirituality? Where do you gain your spirituality from? Your concepts of it. And to say keep talking about Sheol is that's too vague. The human spirit, vague, need details. Think about it like a business. Without details, the business will never function. It will never be prosperous. I mean, do you believe in the God of the Bible? Do you believe in Jesus? Like, where do you get your spirituality from? Do you get it from Islamic texts? Do you get it from the Vedics? You know, where do you get your spirituality? Because the human spirit, whose spirit? The human spirit. Oh, the human spirit. I wouldn't put a lot in the human spirit. If you think about the human spirit likes to find division amongst ourselves. The human spirit likes to the human spirit likes greed. It likes property. You know, it likes to take advantage of the weak. The human spirit is deeply, deeply flawed. So no, the Moz didn't block. He's on Facebook. I mean, the human spirit has this duality. It fluctuates. You know, in one instance, it can be gracious and loving and caring, and then the other instance is evil and maniacal and greedy. You know, the human spirit is more primal and looking at survival. I know this will never happen, but I think conflict resolution should be taught in schools. Some people are so quickly to grab that gun to solve their problem. It would be nice because it's certainly not taught in most of the homes. Well, I ain't gonna say it's not taught in most homes. It's not taught well in most homes. It's not demonstrated well in most homes. Uh, I think the schools try to, but the problem with the schools is that, let's say somebody hits a kid, the kid defends themselves, both kids get suspended. There's no critical thinking to go through the process. There's no due process. It's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Okay, this is interesting. In being in connection with nature awareness, your name is Eighth Day Independent Fundamental Baptist Evangelist. I'm not, I'm bringing this up because that's an interesting name. That name alludes to one or two things, but it could mean something totally different. What does that mean? Because you got fundamental Baptist evangelists that usually invokes one thought, but Baptists are not you awareness with nature doesn't fit with fundamental Baptist evangelists. So I'm curious. I'm like seriously curious. What does that mean? I really want to know. And if you need to come on here, Eighth Day Independent Fundamental Baptist Evangelist, because it might be too much to type, let me know and I'll put the link out here. Matter of fact, hell, I just put the link out anyway. But that's I find, there's always new titles of things, new thought modes of thought. That one is interesting to me. Oh, what you used to be. I still want to know what the hell it means. I've never heard that one before. Eighth Day Independent Fundamental. That's some. That's something. Shit. Matter of fact, I'm impatient on that one. I want to know what that one means. And if you used to be that, why haven't you changed it? Why haven't you changed it? Eighth Day Independent Fundamental Baptist Evangelist. And because I just realized who face you got up there. You rocking Kenneth. So it's a conservative Baptist viewpoint. That's the new independent fundamental Baptist movement. That's a different one. Like, I ain't gonna be a 7-day Avenger. There's an 8th day. The 8th day is the day when the Lord comes and reigns for 1,000 years. I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on you, 8th day. I'm just making jokes. Been there big time. Part of my healing religious trauma. Okay. Can someone know God through religion? No. As I, well, you probably weren't here for the other lives. Um, Religion puts whatever. Let me see. If there is a all-powerful, all-knowing, omniscient God, the moment you put it inside of a religion, it ceases to be whatever that God is. So no, you can never know a God through a religion or a book or anything like that. As soon as you name it, it's no longer God. So no, you can't learn. If there is this creator, this plamora, the all, if that exists, you will never ever truly know it, ever. That's not ever going to happen. You don't have the ability to conceptualize it or define it. But the more and more you elevate your consciousness, you get atomic level understanding of it. Atomic levels, which still means that you have literally almost zero perception of what the all would be. How do you know about religion? That because I was born in one and I studied it, and religions can be studied. Oh, you are mistaken, sir. I do not target religion. I am merely here to help people who are just deconstructing from religion. I do not target religion. Religious people come on here because they feel that they need to defend their religion to people who have already decided that they don't want any parts of it. And part of deconstructing from a religion is to strip away, is to pour out the cup, to put it simple, just to pour out the cup. So there is no targeting. And yes, it is primarily focused on Christianity because that is the religion that I deconstructed from. So it's the one that I know the most about. Exactly. And that's why the page is named Deconstructing Christianity. And he did. This actually is a good question. This actually is good. I was going to skip it, but it's actually a good question. Do you seek to find places without God? That's actually a good question. How it is, because you cannot conceive God. If the all exists, because I don't even really, in this aspect, I don't even want to use the term God. Because you can't even conceive of the all, then everything you seek is without the fullness of the all. So you can only seek from within yourself, from within yourself. You can't seek with God because you are less than an electron. You are less than dark matter in your understanding and knowledge of the all. So seek based on your level of growth, and you continue, always knowing that you will never, ever, ever fully understand and fully know. And I know you weren't listening to what I was saying because you already typed the response. So I will move on because you're making statements before I even finish. Deconstructing Christianity is profound. How much static you receive from friends and loved ones on your journey? Not a lot, honestly. My family just, they were curious as to why. And because I was able to articulate my issues, and they seen me questioning things over the years, so they weren't surprised, neither friends nor family. And anybody that I would call friend would be someone who would love me for who I am, not for my whether I believe in the same thing that they believe. So I have very few friends, and very few people have ever been in my life that I would give that title to. I've never been the type to hang around a bunch of people. Oddly enough, usually my group is no more than, well, when I was younger, 3 people. But when you get older, you have a wife, then 6 people. But so I've never had large groups of people around me, and I generally don't discuss these things with people who are hard coded in their beliefs. I just let them go about their business. Now, I will tell somebody in a heartbeat, what did I just do? I just messed something up. Okay. I just messed this up where I cannot see the chat. Brand, what the hell is this thing doing? What did I just do? I messed this damn chat up where I can't see what y'all saying. Oh. Ha. Sorry. That's what I get for clicking buttons. I don't know. I'm not answering any more D Senior's questions because he didn't answer mine. So what the hell am I going to answer his for? Is the MLK of, oh, I didn't understand what you were saying at first, but now can I be Malcolm X? I like Malcolm better than I like MLK. Exactly. This is the purpose. After escaping the candy coated blood guilt cult, we are only trying to help those who have been traumatized like ourselves. Yes, that is actually why I'm going to start doing seminars. I'm going to start doing online seminars because I want to teach. I want those who are interested in going deeper to have the opportunity to go deeper. And that way, as you experience your circle, you'll be able to go deeper with them as well. And no, it's not going to be free. I'm going to just tell you that right now. It's not going to be free. Oh, I asked you, where do you get your sense of God from? Where, and you said humanism, but the human spirit, that's a vague answer. Your concept of God, did you just make it up yourself? Did you get it from the Bible? Did you get it from the Vedics? Where'd you get it from? The vague answers are not worthy. What is the purpose of God? I worry more about people who need a God to be moral than those who don't. And that is a major thing. Like, if you need God to be moral, you got a problem. There's something psychopathic about you when you require a God in order for you to be a moral person. I did not need a God to be moral. My children didn't need a God to be moral. They got it from their parents. Simple as that. That's where they got the majority of their morality from. And then the other people that came into their lives. Now I sound like a boomer clicking things. So who is the Lord then? So, okay. So my follow-up question is, from everywhere, everything, everyone. So who do you pray to? And who is your Lord? They're decent. Who do you pray to and who is your Lord? When you thank the Lord, who are you thanking? And when you pray, who are you praying to? When other people are praying for you, who are they praying to? Who are you accepting these prayers from? I do think this is one good reason why people love religion. They don't want to be accountable or responsible for their decisions. So they find that comfort in some invisible spirit, whether it is a God or a devil, a demon or an angel. They want something else to blame except for themselves. They're always looking for some scapegoat. You see, this shows me that you're not a genuine. This would indicate that you may not be a genuine person. You ask me a question, I answer it straight out. I ask you a question. This is not. This is this is avoidance. I pick and choose the same as you. That's avoidance. Who? What? Wait a minute. What they say in Infinity War? What master do you serve? I love that. That whole scene was great. What am I supposed to say? Jesus? Wait a minute. You from Earth? No, I'm from Missouri. That's on Earth. I pick and choose, same as you. I don't pick and choose. That's the difference. I don't pick and choose because I don't serve any God. I don't worship any God. I don't pray to any God. I don't accept prayers from people because I don't want their witchcraft, from some created, manifested God that they're creating for themselves. See, you try to, I try to have the patience of Job. And this is what I get for the patience of Job. Because they just don't want to answer. He said he wasn't Christian, but he won't say what God he serves. God, Joseph. Why is God always in my mouth? You know how much time I don't spend talking about this stuff? I spend more time talking about other stuff than I talk about this. See, Debbie, let me tell you what it is, Debbie. He doesn't want to say exactly what God he serves, what book he follows, what ideas his ideas come from truly, because he knows that if he says that it comes from Jesus or Yahweh or Jehovah, he knows that he's putting himself in a, in that little category. So he can't say exactly where it comes from because now he's categorized it. And then when something is categorized, it can then be scrutinized and critiqued. So he's not going to say what God he serves. And he gives these vague answers. Now, I heard you. You give these vague answers, human spirit. I asked you, who do you call the Lord? Who is the Lord? Whose prayers, when people pray for you, what prayers are you accepting from what God that are they praying to? What thoughts are coming from? It's a very simple question. If I ask that question to someone who's Muslim, they're going to say they pray to Allah. They accept the prayers from people from Allah, who also pray to Allah, right? If it was a Christian, they would say, Jesus is my Lord. They pray to God, pray to Jesus, and that's where the thoughts come from. Now, so we know that he's not going to say, because just to say God is vague. It could be it could be Oda Madre, it could be Quetzalcoatl, it could be any number of gods, right? So just to say God is so general. It's so general. If you have a Lord and you have a God, then you have a specific path that you're following. And especially when especially when you just keep saying some random vague stuff. But hold on, Coach, you didn't answer my question. Why do you like Malcolm more than you like MLK? Just curious. Because MLK was begging for our equal treatment. MLK, although he did, they try to hit people in the pocket and work through the the political system. He was still begging. Malcolm wasn't begging. Malcolm was taking. Malcolm's mindset was, we're going to do our thing, and if you try to disrupt our thing, you are going to pay the price for it. Malcolm wasn't going to let you stick no damn dogs on him, spray no fire hoses, and all that bullshit. I'm not going to let you beat me. So he demanded equality instead of asking for equality. So that's why I prefer Malcolm over MLK. I respect MLK for standing up, but I don't respect the way he stood up. So I'm going to be an asshole for a second. Speaking of the same invisible you are, that is an impossibility. Because if you were speaking the same way that I speak, then you wouldn't be on Facebook saying, "Dear Facebook, there are no words to express how thankful and blessed I am for everyone's thoughts, prayers, love, support, and donations. Thank you very much. I thank the Lord for you." Because of you, I am completely overwhelmed with joy and motivation to endure through my recovery. From friends and family who've known me my entire life to everyone who I don't even know. So whose thoughts and prayers, what God prayers, what God are these prayers being sent to? And when you thank the Lord for all those people, what Lord are you thanking? See, I'm just, what Lord are you thanking? You know, who's this God? Who's this Lord that you're giving all these thanks to? Because I give no thanks to no Lord, none whatsoever. I give no prayers to no God. I do not accept prayers from any God. So I question the thoughts and the prayers. I thank the Lord for you. No. Yeah, you thank some people, but in thanking the people, you thank the Lord for the people. You didn't just say, I thank you guys for the donations as I was going through my situation. I'm glad that you recovered. Don't get me wrong. I am glad that you recovered from whatever situation was going on in your life. I'm glad that you had people around you who supported you while you was going through whatever you was going through. But you thank the Lord as well. So who is the Lord? And you're grateful for the prayers. The prayers that went to who? You see what I'm saying? So when I ask you the question, who is your Lord? Who do you pray to? Obviously, you do some praying to somebody and you have a Lord. Now, I don't want your face to come up on my screen, so I ain't gonna. But nope. I can't do it without your face coming up. Right there. It right there. So y'all know that I'm not making up some shit. It right there. Just say Jesus, man. You believe in Jesus. It's more than likely you believe in Jesus. I told you I'm being an asshole for a second. But I told you vague answers piss me off. Hey, it don't piss me off. I find them irritating because I don't give vague answers. You ask me a question, whether we're going to agree or not, I'm going to give you a very specific answer. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to give you a straight up answer. When I talked about consideration before, I expect the same consideration to come back. If I'm willing to give you detailed answers, give me detailed answers back. Otherwise, I'm gonna become that. I'm gonna flip the script and be that other person. Now, yes, Christopher, you saw donations. That's why I said whatever situation he was going through, I'm glad that there were people around him who supported him during that time frame, who helped him with finances. It could have been something medical, could have lost a job, could have been anything that was beyond his initial capabilities. And I'm glad that he had people like that. That's a good thing. But he couldn't answer my question. Who's his Lord? Who these prayers coming from? He gave me some vague shit and then tried to change the subject. But then want me to give specific answers. Consideration. That's what the world needs. Give somebody the same consideration that they give you. Now, if you go away from here, D senior, and hating everything that I talked about, that's fine. But I hope you go away from this with a change in you that says that, you know what? If I ask somebody for something specific, I'm going to give them back something. I'm going to give them the same respect that they gave me. And if you like this, no, I'm not going to do that. I might be in, so I can say it this way. And I might be in your town for about 12 hours next week. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You did not. You did not give me specific answers. You gave me very vague answers. I asked you specifically about your Lord and your prayers. I asked you very specifically, what is your pathway of spirituality? You did not. I asked you very specifically about near death or death experiences. You did not. So don't come here saying, I never said that you lied. I said that no one has ever shown proof of going into underworld, hell, whichever one you want to call it, and came back with proof. And I told you to prove it. I gave you an opportunity to prove it. You said life experiences. Life experiences. I didn't call you a liar. I just explained that everybody of every religion has life experiences that they use to validate their religion. So that then is not proof. That's not calling you a liar. That is just saying that life experiences is not proof. When you said you saw the underworld, I said, prove it. Prove it. And you said life experiences. And if you can only prove it with your life, then it is not proof. No, David, he said that there is no hell. Well, no, he was saying that the underworld is not hell. He was claiming that he went to the underworld. Okay, now this is an honest answer. I can't. It's not proof. Okay, then that is how you perceive things. Whatever experience you have, you perceived it as you go into the underworld. That's your perception of an experience. So that's very different than proof of something. But I'm glad you say that you can't prove it, because that's actually incredibly good in growth, because most people who are defending a position of belief will continue to say that its proof is true, it is real, and everybody should agree. But to say that you can't prove it is to say that, hey, I can't prove it, but that's my experience. I can deal with that. I can deal with that. We can sit down in your hometown, have a cup of coffee, and I'm gonna have a cigar, and we can have a nice regular conversation. I can sit down with a person like that. What I can't sit down with is someone who is going to try to force their mindset to say that this is real and you have to believe it because this is what I experienced. And that is my perspective, and most everybody here's perspective on the Bible. We can demonstrate where the Bible outright lies. Like the whole thing about Joshua is an outright lie. It is completely impossible for any of the events of Joshua to have ever happened. Any of it, all of it, not one shred of it. The Exodus, not one shred of proof exists. And it's impossible for it to have happened anyway. So we don't argue faith. It's things that we can show and demonstrate that are false. The contradictions that it has, we can show and demonstrate its contradictions. So that's what goes on this page. So we're not attacking or targeting. Well, we're not attacking. We attack it from our perspective of that we've deconstructed from it, but we're not going out to attack Christians. Christians or people who believe the Bible seem to want to come to this page. And for me, it doesn't matter what the religion is. When it gets into a lot of the metaphysical things, they have no proof. Can't prove Ra existed. Can't prove Chetua existed. Can't prove none of them. You can prove that a man named Chetua existed, and then they deified him. Well, you can't prove that he existed, but well, through their oral traditions, they say that they had a king named Chetua, and he became God. It is written that if anyone do not believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. And it is also written that if anyone does not recognize the self-created fear when they're going through samsara, they will reincarnate back to earth. It is written. So if it is written, if your it is written is true, if that it is written is true, I ain't gonna say it's yours, because I don't, you may be being sarcastic, because that's where I mess up most of the time. I think that a person is being serious, but they're being sarcastic. If that's written and that's true, then what the Tibetan Book of the Dead wrote is true too. And I'm not dying in any sin, because I live my life. I live every day doing what I want to do. I live every day respecting other people 99% of the time. When I do find myself going to the wayside, I pull myself back. My wife will vouch for that, because she sees plenty of time where I'll just shut down the conversation. I'll be like, okay, I'm not going there no more. You know what's interesting? That don't mean what most people think it means. It doesn't mean what most people think it means. Most people think that it means that you are a god or godlike. All it means is that you have a divine spark within you. It doesn't mean that you are a god. And when it was talked about in Psalms, it was actually referring to the fact that Yahweh was taking over because all the other guys weren't doing their job. They weren't, acting right. So Yahweh was taking over, and he was telling the other, because you read the stuff before it and after, it's telling you that it's demonstrating that he's just taking over from where the other guys are failing. But it also, and then in the John portion of it, that is more in reference to the fact that of the divine spirit, of the fact that we all come from and have this spirit about us. But I generally just, when I hear people say that, I just go on by my business. Okay. Now, we can take it into a more metaphysical thought process, and because we make decisions for ourselves, and we actually do have free will for the majority part of our lives. You are the God goddess over your life. And yes, I'm married. Come on, already. I've been with my lady for 4 or 5 years. Right. Now, John, you just trying to get old dude from the other night to come on here. We're not gonna be on here for 4 hours like we were that night. If I'm God, I'm just like the other guys, powerless. You can only be, and like that's one of the things that I teach people. Okay, so hold on, let me put that back on here. That's one of the things that I teach people when I'm coaching them is the fact that um, your power only extends to the effects that you have within your own life and the effects that you have over the lives of other people where you have more influence. That is the closest to, that is the most power anybody ever has over your own mind. And depending upon the relationship, the outer environment of other people, but they're also depending on the person, the power over their mind as well to sway them. But as far as the power of the ethereal God, we ain't got none of that. Now parts of that. We have none of those powers. Stupid. I'm not messing with you, Isaac. Ah. We get into the nitty gritty. I just read the first sentence and I had to put this up here. I found the most powerful place in my life when I accepted my life as my own. I disregarded pleasing some sky daddy and instead focused on the here and the now. Much, much happier as a whole. Yeah. Remember my capacity map that I drew? That's that's what you got. That's the focus right there. Is fulfilling your capacity of who you are in the different areas of your life. That's why we had to get in the gym today. Yes. Oh yeah. Let me tell y'all. Y'all gonna start seeing some fitness and workout stuff because from a great way to teach people how to control their lives better, how to have dominion over their lives. I used to tell my clients all the time when I was a personal trainer that if you can control your body, then you can control your life. Uh, we putting forth the same mental principles that I taught people when I was their personal trainer slash life coach. I, they were able to apply those things to every other aspect of your life because if you do not get your entire life in order, then you will not get your body, your health in order. So y'all gonna start seeing some fitness related videos because I'm gonna use that as part of my process of well, those who are members and subscribers. I mean, some of you guys, some members and subscription holders will see more, but you guys will still see some. But if you can handle, because that is something that you have almost full control over. Even if you're dealing with issues, you still have more control over that than almost anything else in your life. So when you think about it, if you can get your health better by your own means, what's stopping you from getting your finances better, your relationship better? What's stopping you from getting your thought process better, your focus better? Because you got to have focus in order to change your body, to change your health. So once you start seeing that, things become clearer and easier to understand, and you'll be able to move through this life a lot better. Yeah. And somebody wrote it up there. I think I can still get it. Like I stay out of the past. I only use the past to learn from, and I don't worry too much about the future. I do things now that I want to see manifested in the future. Hmm. That's the only authority you need: your own mind, your own consciousness. Even the slave has authority over their own consciousness. May not have authority over their body, but they have it over their consciousness. You know, Lawnmower Man, that's I had to apologize to a dude earlier today because he was making statements like that. And I was like, what kind of dumbass? In my mind, I was thinking, what kind of stupid ass shit is that? But of course, I didn't say it that way. Um, but I thought that he was being serious about that. You got free will, but somebody else's will can be stronger than yours. And you have the free will to push your body. You push your body beyond its limits. But if you push it beyond the limit, yeah, you're endangering your body. And the same thing with your mind. Like when you get one of those persons, if you become one of those people who just jumps to every new thought process, every new thing, then you're gonna confuse your mind so much that you won't be able to identify anything. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give that to the churches. I learned that from the church. When you had people who hop from one church to the next church, to the next church, to the next church, to the next church, this pastor, that pastor, that pastor, that pastor, that pastor, they all not teaching the same stuff. So you learn this, you learn this, you learn this, you learn this, and learn this, and some of these things are contradicted to one another, but you not got all this, and you just keep flopping, flopping, flip flopping, and flip flopping. Always learning something that contradicts the other thing, but you're holding on to all these things. You got to defrag. Oh shit! I showed my age. You got to defrag the hard drive. Like I hardly ever studied multiple religions at the same time. Hardly ever. Like when I studied Christianity, I only studied Christianity. When I studied Islam, I only studied Islam. When I studied Buddhism and Hinduism, I studied them individually. Same thing with the Tao, everything individually. I balanced them compared to the others. And I just compared them. I'm gonna say I balanced them. I compared them one to another. I believe that that's my problem. I just don't know, but I know Christianity isn't it. No, and that's why I studied a bunch of other religions because, okay, what do they have to say? But I studied something that was different. When you go church to church to church, it's all looking the same, but it got those nuances that are so different that you think in all that pathway, you're studying the right thing. But it's when I reject this one, let me see what this one got to offer. Oh, I'm rejecting this one. Let me see what this one got to offer. That's a little bit different. That's a process that you should go through. And then I finally started understanding Hermeticism and started studying other philosophies and that could stand on the foundation of that. Yeah, I know I showed my age with the defrag. I got to defrag it monthly. Every month, got to defrag the hard drive. Oh. I guess I should have said, you got to empty the trash bin on your computer. So I've made 2 videos over the weekend. Yeah, was that over the weekend or was that Monday? Either Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. I made 2 videos about it. But I think he was wrong as shit. And then he dug a deeper hole when he tried to explain it away. But that is part of the brainwashing. He tried to guilt shame those people into giving money. If you're having, so here's the thing. When we have this, I'm going to do some online seminars. But when we have the meetup down in November, when we have the meetup in November, whatever money is raised to pay for whatever is going on is what's going to pay for what's going on. I'm not going to get y'all down there and then all of a sudden start saying that, hey, let's say we rented a hotel conference room. Well, this hotel conference room costs money. So Angelina, go close the door because y'all need to give some money in order to pay for this conference because it costs to be up here. That's bullshit. If not enough people are coming to pay for a conference room, we just won't be in a conference room. I'd be like, look, it's only 10 of y'all who came down here. So we're going to do this anyway, but we're going to have a fireside chats on the beach. We going to the park. We going to where it's free. If it's just like 10 people, because 10 people don't pay for a conference room, unless we're charging like $500 a pop, but we ain't charging. We're not doing that. We're not doing it. That's ridiculous right at this stage of the game. That's ridiculous, period. But no. But he was full of shit. And then he tried to use David. Well, when David called the people to give money for whatever, he gave out the treasury and demonstrated for the people, and then the people gave freely. That ain't what happened with you, dude. You didn't demonstrate. You didn't give from the treasury first and demonstrate. You said, and I'm asking everybody up here to give $100. You asking. They didn't say, here's my 100. Here's my 100. And that ain't even pulling out the treasury. You Marvin Sapp. You should have been pulling the whole band out. Here's my 10,000 that I'm giving to this conference, to this organization. He ain't do that. He ain't nothing but a grifter like the rest of them. Right, you ain't cool enough to going to eat. Yeah, that comment I thought was rude as hell too. Yep. That's the thing about all those books that got me. They all just basically turned into, some Marvel comics. They all just turned to Marvel comics based on people's trying to understand nature and misunderstanding it completely. Yeah, I thought the damage control just made it even worse. I thought the damage control just made it worse when he tried to do with the whole David thing and all that stuff. And I didn't say lock the doors. I said close the door. Anybody who ever been to church, they know what close the doors of the church mean. And then to try to say that, that's such a security time. Ain't nobody running around robbing churches. When do people go rob churches? What was that movie man Andy just saw? That's Pulp Fiction. Nobody ever thinks to rob restaurants. Nobody ever does it. So let's rob the restaurant. Nobody does that. Nobody go to rob the church. Yeah, that's because people like me wasn't there. So I'm gonna tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened one time. Let me tell you a story. So when I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, I was stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and this guy that I was in the unit with, he invited me to come to his church. So I went to his church. There was a holiness church. I didn't know it was a holiness church until I got there. It was a Kojic. And them motherfuckers had like 6 collections. And after the first one, I was like, I'm not getting nothing. So I just kept moving. They had the baptism. They were baptizing 4 people. And we had already been in there for like 3 hours. They baptized the first person. And I thought it was going to be like Baptist baptism. They baptized the first person, boom, jack, you out. Here come the next person, pow, you out. Here come the next person, pow, you out. They baptized this one dude, then the drums kicked up, people dancing, running around the church. They played this shit for like 15, 20 minutes. I said, hell no, they got 3 more of these. I got up, went to that door. That usher gonna try to tell me I can't leave. You can't leave to all the baptisms. I said, lady, if you don't open this door, I'm gonna slap the shit out you. She opened the damn door. Ain't no way in hell I was gonna stay in there. Ain't no way I was standing there. Tell me I can't leave. That lady can walk into this room right now and I will recognize who her ass is to this very day. That lady had me so mad, gonna try to tell me I couldn't leave. Sure. Oh yeah, he tried to say that, oh, I probably said it a little more aggressively than I should have said it when I told him to close the doors. It's like when people get drunk, the truth comes out. That's all that was. He said it exactly how he wanted to say it. He said that shit exactly how he wanted to say it. He meant it forcefully. And he was doing, like Randall just said earlier, he was doing the business of the church. Ain't nothing but a business. Shit, I'm mad. I should have went into the business of religion. I'd be rich by now if I had went into the business of religion. It's a dude in my hometown, damn criminal, got out of jail, went into the business of religion. Shit, boy got construction companies now buying plazas and all kinds of stuff off that church money. His boy got out of jail, put him on to it. Shit, they balling. Should have went to the business of, if I wanted to make money, I should have L. Ron Hubbard them jokers. What did he say? If I ever wanted to become rich, just start a religion. Shoot. But I can't, that would be, I couldn't teach some false bullshit though. And exactly, Lawnmower Man. You still scare me with that name. I wouldn't be able to look myself or my children in the eyes if I did that. Mm-mm. It would be a disgrace upon myself. The Church of Sherman Hemsley. Y'all stupid. Yeah. Now I will tell you this: if I did start a church, I would tell people, don't you dare give any money to this organization if you are struggling to pay your bills, if you are struggling to eat, if you are going through your couches to get money for gas or ride the bus. Don't you dare give any money to this organization. I would definitely tell that. And then as the organization, the money that is received, we would buy plazas, but then I would have the business owners, I would help the people in that church to start businesses in that plaza. And then every week I would tell everybody, go to the plaza. We got a barbershop in there, we got a clothing store in there, we got restaurants in there. Go support those businesses. And when as those businesses grow, as long as they are hiring at fair wages, the people who go to that church, hey, keep supporting it. But if they start hiring outside, don't go to that business no more. And when your lease come up, we ain't gonna keep your lease. I would make sure that we are circulating money in that church. And then we start a bank, and then we start buying houses and renting houses to our parishioners, and then we help them to buy those very same houses, and it will be the houses in that community. Shit, you come to my church, you are going to become very well-rounded. You ain't gonna be no suffering ass church. I can tell you that. It won't be a suffering one. Hell, people start coming to that church like, man, shit, you go to Ren's church, well, they support business in there, and they making homeowners in that joint, and they got real counseling for getting your life right. I'm going to that church. Shit, Church of Ren's. Boy, Sean, you beat me to it. The Church of Ren's. Now that shit, I'd be a mega church by now. I'd be the mega church. Because politicians try to come there. Nope. Ain't no politician coming in this church talking nothing. No. If you can't do your shit out, you got to do all your shit outside of here. And we ain't doing no politics up in this joint. That's right. Now I be sitting over there in my pastor seat while somebody else talking with my cigar. Don't like it, get the hell out. I have an affordable daycare for the parishioners. And if you ain't a parishioner, don't bring your child over here. You gotta be a parishioner to go to this daycare. Eventually build a school. We're gonna be teaching, we'll teach the bullshit, whatever the state tells us we gotta teach. But critical thinking will be taught, personal finance will be taught, health will be taught. Conflict, if somebody said conflict resolution, we'll be teaching that. Shit. Y'all don't want me to start the Church of Ren's. God damn it. You don't want me to start it. I make people's lives better. You know what's funny? The other pastors from the other places, after a while, they be coming to, can you help me build a church like you built your church? I'd be like, nah, bro. You teaching that Jesus stuff. You teaching this stuff wrong. You ain't trying to help the people. You trying to enrich yourself. Nah, we don't teach Jesus up in here. We teach life in this joker. Shoot. Church of Ren's. Don't get me started. I wouldn't doubt it a lot more. They be calling me an Illuminati pastors. They'll call me the Illuminati pastor. Now, you might have some Illuminati pastors come try to shut me down. Oh, and up front, I'll be like, look, some of the money go to me, but most of the money is going out. Most of this money is going to pay the bills, because we got to pay the bills, got to pay the mortgage. And we're trying to pay this mortgage off early, so we're making, principal payments. We buying plazas. We have the business side of the church, and we have the nonprofit side of the church. And yeah, we're using the taxation laws to benefit both sides, because all the profit that the profit side makes is going to be then reallocated as donations to the church itself. So even the for-profit side is not paying taxes. Oh, I'm gonna work that shit. I would work it. But that community, oh, Sean, I came up with this idea, this thought process back in 2008. And I went around churches. I went to churches in Atlanta, and I was trying to get those pastors to understand this process, and none of them wanted to do it. You can get grants on FIBU. What the hell is a FIBU? I did say FIBU, right? No, that can't be it. It's a company that makes for Earth by us. That don't sound right. I think I'm looking. FIBU that I pulled up is something different. It's looking like it makes biodegradable stuff, reusable paper towels and all that. Uh-huh. I don't know. Well, yeah. Well, Sean said he'll be a pastor, so I guess you can be the head deacon. Nah, the only difference is, my guy, we have a gun range. You roll up in there thinking you're gonna burn something down or you gonna flood something out. You gonna get shot. It ain't gonna be no black. This ain't Tulsa. This ain't 1920s. This ain't the 1920s. This will be the bust a cap in your ass, pastor. Yep. Like my financially on fire program that I teach, that will be like before. So I would teach customer service. We would have an IT portion of it. We would teach stems. Let me basically do it. We would teach stems, but my financially on fire program, I would teach that. They're gonna be financially literate. You ain't gonna be able to come in there and before you gain certain benefits of the church, there's some programs you got to finish first. Exactly. We shoot them. Nah, Lambert. Churches don't teach that at all. They have one little seminar a year or some bullshit like that. They don't teach that. They'll say you got to cut twice and measure once. I mean, measure twice and cut once. They'll tell you something like that, but they don't teach people really how to function. And these churches ain't building uh, building businesses to help their parishioners or creating, teaching program. These people going on to Google and learning how to do AI programming and app developments and all this kind of stuff. These churches ain't teaching none of that stuff. They ain't cheat out. We'll be teaching some trades. Hey, we're gonna teach you how to do some AC units and all that. We're gonna get you because most people aren't business owners. Most people aren't cut out to be that. But we gonna have trade. We can teach some trades up in this joint. Because you don't want to go to college? Fine. We got an IT program. We got an AC program. We partner with these people, and we're gonna scholarship you to learn how to drive trucks and shit. We got heavy equipment maintenance and usability. We're gonna use shit. I had T-Pain said she'll pass out the church fan. We're gonna have AC in that joint. Ain't gonna be no hooping and hollering going on. Now we'll have some hooping. We'll have some hooping. How many people in the church today, this month? So it's the beginning of April. In the month of March, who all was able to still maintain a budget on the 70-10-10-10 plan? All the hands go up. Play that music, boy. Look at that. Yeah, all right. That's what I'm talking about. Who went to the gym 3-4 times this week? All right. Pray that thing. How many of y'all finished y'all programs on your job training program? All right. That's what we're gonna hoop and holler for. Oh, shit, it's 3 hours. Man, that's because I had 1.5 cigars, Wrath. I had 1.5 cigars. That's how y'all tricked me. Actually, I'm gonna say that's my wife's fault because it was her half a cigar that I finished smoking. So I'm gonna say that is her fault, even though she gonna deny it. But it's okay. She knows it's true. But yes, we have had a great conversation tonight. I was really not feeling this conversation because I'm so sick of Joshua. I'm gonna lie to you. I told my wife I ain't talking about Joshua tonight. We can talk about something else. But then I saw all this last 2 chapters of Joshua. Let me go ahead and finish this thing off. So I'm glad we finished it. Um, we done. We done. So y'all know everything we talked about. If you didn't, go back and start from the beginning. But y'all have a great night. And of course, I will see you guys Monday live on Monday. I got a good subject matter for Monday. We're going to talk about prostitution and righteousness on Monday. It was the devil that made me do it. You just seen that video. So I appreciate you guys. Please continue to watch all the videos. Share the videos. Share the videos. All right? Share them. You know? I need them shares. I need them views. They help pay the bills. I want to thank everybody who's a subscription holder, who also is a member on YouTube and a subscription holder on Facebook. That helps pay the bills too. People who donate this way, thank you very much. That helps pay the bills as well. Those who will be ordering cigars that my wife is rolling, thank you. And she does most of her rolling while I'm doing these lives. So I appreciate had a couple of people already contact me. So I look forward to you guys contacting me for those who smoke cigars. Thank you very much. Look forward to, I will be putting together some online seminars. Hopefully you guys will be willing to join those. That'd be great. Help pay the bills. And but those are going to be deeper study. And I would say this for anybody who will come on it just so that they can be a distraction. That will be a non-refundable, but you got booted out of the seminar. That will happen. And even if you came down to Corpus Christi and you came down there to act an ass, you might get drowned. So yeah. So y'all have a great night. Y'all have a great night. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibration. Ooh, stay safe, Stephanie. You know, tornado watch. Yeah, that's why I refuse to live anywhere where they have tornadoes. But good night, y'all.